Uhuru! Uhuru! Welcome to the Reparations Study Group. My name is Jackson, and I'm a very proud member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And it is my honor to be here with our National Chair, Jesse Nevel, just off of the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise. So, welcome, and Uhuru.
Uhuru Jackson. Good to be here. I literally just got off the cruise a matter of hours ago. That's why I am wearing this hat, which I will now remove. But yes, it was great. It was a great time, and it's great to be here on the Reparations Study Group.
Uhuru, wonderful, wonderful. So we're very happy to hear you talk about the cruise a little bit later. But first, before we start our Reparations Study Group, I want to salute our leadership in the Uhuru movement, the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, and you can see all of the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party on page 8 of your Burning Spear newspaper. So first, salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who spoke at an event. Yes, who spoke at an event on the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise in Nassau, Bahamas, that the African People's Socialist Party Bahamas held. And so very excited to be hearing about that. And Chairman Omali Yeshitela is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and African Socialist International. And his newest book is Vanguard, The Advanced Attachment of the African Revolution, which you can purchase at burningspearmarketplace.com. And he coined the theory of African internationalism, which is the perspective of the African working class, and that is the perspective from which the Burning Spear newspaper is written, and we'll be studying the cover article of the December issue today. The article, I should have mentioned earlier, is called The Election That Shook the System, the Incredible Reparations Campaign in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we are live right now from St. Petersburg, Florida, and so we'll be getting the inside scoop on what that campaign was like. Rewinding, salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and also salute Ona Zene Yeshitela, who is the architect of the Black Power Blueprint. Here is Ona Zene Yeshitela, and Black Power Blueprint is where all of the reparations that we raise in USM are going to. She also leads all of the economic work of the African People's Socialist Party. So salute Ona Zene Yeshitela. And salute Akile Anai, who is the editor-in-chief of the Burning Spear newspaper, and she is the director of agitation and propaganda for the African People's Socialist Party. So salute her and her incredible leadership in the African People's Socialist Party. And so after Akile Anai, we also have Chairwoman Penny Hess of the African People's Solidarity Committee, who leads all of the solidarity work under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. So Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the mass organization of the African People's Solidarity Committee that the party formed in 1976 and organizes in the white community for reparations. And
all right.
Penny Hess wrote Overturning the Culture of Violence, which I highly recommend everyone read. You can purchase at burningspearmarketplace.com. And Casey Mackey referred to it as a true history of white people, and how our white culture is a culture of violence and how we can overturn that through reparations. So check it out.
Uhuru.
And lastly, salute Jesse Nevel. So Uhuru, Chair Jesse. So tell us what the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise was like.
Sure, I want to salute Jackson Hollingsworth. Let's give him a round of applause. So it was great. And first, I'll tell you a little bit about the cruise, and I'll do that by first joining you in saluting the person who really made the cruise what it was, really brought meaning to the experience of being on a cruise, which is something I personally never would have imagined myself doing, which is Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And of course, the Uhuru movement and the African People's Socialist Party organized this cruise trip, which is called the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise, as a fundraiser for the African Socialist International, which is the international expression of the African People's Socialist Party. It's the organization of African People's Socialist parties all around the world, including in some of the places that we went to on the cruise. So really, if you're going to go on a cruise, that's what you should do. And maybe other people that might be something you might enjoy doing, going on a cruise otherwise. But for me, what really made it worthwhile, in addition to, you know, being able to take some time off, like the Uhuru movement works really hard. So this is something that the Uhuru movement does as a way to encourage its, you know, all of the really hardworking members and organizers in the movement to have a way to, you know, relax, get some rest, and enjoy yourself. But at the same time, to do so in the context of forwarding the revolutionary movement. So Chairman Amalia Shatella, Deputy Chair Onizanea Shatella, other leaders, President Yejide Oramila was there, Chairwoman Penny Hess, other members of APSC or Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and also just friends of the movement, people that found out about the movement through the cruise even came and joined us for this, this trip. So we were all aboard the Carnival Sunrise, and we traveled to Half Moon Cay, Nassau, and Freeport in the Bahamas. And when we were in Nassau, we actually got off the ship and traveled into the town where we were taken on a tour that was done kind of differently from how the regular tourist experience would go. Because as you know, tourism under the colonial system is really just, it's basically colonial sightseeing, like, you know, for the colonizer to soak in the sight of all of the stolen resources. I mean, Half Moon Cay, which is a beautiful island with, you know, beautiful blue ocean and everything, is privately owned by the cruise company, you know, so that just tells you. And all of it is privately owned by colonialism, by white power. So we went into Nassau, we were greeted by Alex Morley, who is one of the leaders of the African People's Socialist Party Bahamas, who gave us a really insightful tour of Nassau, showed us some of the buildings that were left behind by the legacy of colonialism, including jailhouses, courthouses, and we actually did a tour with the chairman and with Alex Morley of a museum called the Pompeii Museum of Slavery and Emancipation, which the museum itself was inside of a building that functioned as an auction house for enslaved African people. So we were on those grounds, you know, with the leader of the movement of enslaved African people fighting to shatter the chains of oppression and slavery that remain to this day. And it was very powerful. The chairman talked extensively throughout this trip because there were a few presentations that he gave, you know, and some of them were formal, like a study that he held in the piano room on the Carnival Sunrise cruise, where people gathered around and he led a study of the African national identity, which was very profound. And also his presentation at an event that was held in Nassau, his presentation in the museum itself, and also just his informal presentations throughout the cruise. You know, we all had dinner together every single night, which was great. There was a different theme for the dinners at night. Like there was like red, black, and green night, or you know, there was, what were some of the other ones? There was like all black, you know, attire, different, like, you know, dress code kind of thing. And of course, everybody in the African People's Socialist Party looked spectacular. So where was I going with that? So yeah, the chairman would just make statements throughout, and there were certain themes that really ran through his presentations. One of them was the significance of Haiti, and he talked extensively about that, partially because some of the Africans who came on the trip were from Haiti. They live in St. Louis, and they're part of the movement in St. Louis, but they're from Haiti. As of, within the last 10 years, they moved to the United States. And they were really, proud to be from Haiti. And the chairman talked extensively about why Haiti should be the pride of not just of African people, but of all oppressed people and all people who are against oppression. Because Haiti and the Haitian Revolution was the first successful slave revolt in human history. And whereas, Lenin and Russia and all these different things are hailed as kind of the first strikes against capitalism by a workers-led movement. In 1804, the Haitian Revolution crushed the most powerful European army on the planet, which was Napoleon's army. Crushed them, destroyed them. Their slogan was, what is it? Coupe tête, boule ka, which means cut off their heads and burn down their houses. And Jean-Jacques Dessalines was one of the great heroic leaders of the struggle of enslaved African people. And, the chairman just talked about how significant that is. Like it really set the tone. Like it's the template, it's the standard for what a revolution looks like, and it really needs to be studied as that. And it's watered down. It's written out of history. You know, you don't even really learn about Haiti in that way and understand its significance. And there was a quote from Napoleon in the museum that said that his interest in subjugating the people of Haiti was not primarily for purposes of commerce or geopolitics, that it was to stop forever the march of black people in the world.
Wow.
That was what he tried to do, and he failed. He failed. And that's why the US imperialism and Europe and other imperial powers have punished Haiti ever since, and have forced it into a state of extreme colonial destitution and poverty, to make an example out of it, that this is what happens when you fight back and struggle for your freedom and win. So Haiti, the chairman just really put forward Haiti as a shining example. And of course, Haiti was forced to pay reparations to France, because after the Haitian Revolution, the French complained that they had lost property, which was what? African human beings. And they forced Haiti to pay reparations, quote unquote. And then the United States Marines in 1914 invaded Haiti and began systematically looting the Haitian treasury, which lasted for like 50 years at minimum. I can't remember exactly, but it lasted for decades. And that is why the people of Haiti are starving today. So obviously, reparations are owed to African people in Haiti and all around the world. And France owes reparations, the United States owes reparations, and white people who's, like the chairman said, Haiti fed France. And really, Haiti fed and continues to feed all white people and all of white society in America and Europe that rest on the backs of the continued oppression and colonization of African people there and everywhere else around the world. So anyway, the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise. It was very amazing, and I highly recommend going next year. I know you're planning on going. That's great.
Yes.
It was a really powerful experience, and yes, it was fun. So it's just an interesting combination, to be able to actually relax and enjoy yourself, but at the same time, it doesn't have that cheap, hollow, empty feeling that fun under imperialism usually does, because you're with the African People's Socialist Party, you're with the leaders of the African Revolution, and that just gives it meaning and imbues the whole experience with an amazing sense of hope. So it was a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and to know that the resources that you paid to go on it are going to the African Socialist International, are going to building the movement worldwide. In addition to all of the political education and everything that you just laid out. So I really appreciate that summation, Chair Jesse.
No problem. Uhuru.
So I also want to salute our engineer, Kyle.
For all you do.
And you heard her voice. Amanda Carlozzi is also here. And really salute Amanda, our national treasurer, and many, many other things.
Uhuru.
And I know our dear comrades Santosh and Janet Capron are not able to be here physically today, but I know they're tuning in. So appreciate you. Hope you both feel better. We're with you in revolutionary spirit. And now, so it's 7:19. I think we can go ahead and start our article. And I'm looking forward to your perspective on this, Chair Jesse. So this is the cover article of the Burning Spear newspaper's December issue, The Election That Shook the System, the Incredible Reparations Campaign in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I think that I can read until we get to the chairman's section. Then if you want to take over, Chair Jesse.
Okay.
Switch.
Sounds good.
All right. So we see a beautiful photo here. It says Eritha Akile Canyon, aka Akile Anai, and volunteers at the campaign kickoff cookout in St. Petersburg, Florida. We see all the volunteers, etc. See Tama right there. Salute Tama. On Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, volunteers and supporters of the campaign to elect Eritha Akile Canyon for District 7 City Council gathered at the campaign's headquarters to celebrate the conclusion of the dynamic, groundbreaking candidacy of Akile and the reparations platform she ran on. It was a long, hard-fought battle on the side of this campaign, going up against the system that works to maintain the status quo. The bourgeois election itself resulted in the incumbent of District 7 City Council reclaiming her seat to loyally serve the interests of the white ruling class at the expense of the African community in St. Pete. The rigged election system required for Akile and her opponent to go head-to-head in the general election to be voted on by a majority white city. Thousands of white people not living in District 7 voted in opposition to the reparations candidate, knowing that the incumbent would work obediently to serve their interests for 4 more years. Despite this, Akile gained popularity in the African community of District 7 since the August 27, 2019 primary election and won votes from every precinct within the city. With the best campaign organization, platform, and candidate, the campaign raising the slogan, "Make the South Side Black Again," accomplished the following. In regards to mass communication efforts, 4,267 doors were knocked, 8,500 phone calls were made, 69,960 robocalls were made, 7,472 text messages were sent, 36,300 mailers went out, and 36,000 of the campaign's own newspapers, The South Side Speaks, was distributed.
Let's give that a round of
Yes.
applause. Damn.
Akile participated in all 16 forums throughout the primary and general, whereas her opponent refused to show up to over half of them. The campaign published 43 videos on social media, including the famous, quote, "elephant in the room" clip that went viral after Akile checked a TV reporter, reaching up to 167,000 plus views, garnering international support for this campaign. At the end of the election, the campaign received contributions from more than 1,000 donors across the country, averaging at just $27 per person. At one point during the campaign, Akile had raised $13,000 in 1 week, crashing the city's finance reporting server due to the support flooding in from around the world. Let me go to page 4. The incredible campaign organization saw over 100 committed volunteers, both locally and nationally, making phone calls every day to voters, doing door-to-door, attending campaign forums and events, and dropping the campaign newspaper sometimes as early as 6 a.m. The campaign had a goal to be ubiquitous. This was achieved in the nearly 40 events attended by the candidate or campaign throughout the entire election. And lastly, this campaign received media coverage 16 times from the Burning Spear newspaper and local journals and radio stations, but also coverage from the popular YouTube news channel African Diaspora News, as well as news agencies in Texas, Alabama, California, and Canada. When the results were revealed at the campaign office, event attendees gathered around to hear the summation from both Chairman Omali Yeshitela, leader and founder of the African People's Socialist Party, as well as the candidate herself, Akile Anayi. So this next part is from Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Go ahead, Chair Jesse.
Uhuru, I'm reliving that night as we go through this. Okay, so this is from Chairman Omali Yeshitela. This is a transcript of his statement the night. This was like minutes after the election results had come in. So the chairman said, "We didn't just run the same old candidate like everybody else did. The only thing that disrupted this process was our presence in this election. Everyone else that ran for the system one way or the other. So you had the system versus the system when you went through all of the other candidates. And in our instance, and even the Times was able to say this, Eritha Akile Canyon is the most radical of all of them. She's distinguishable among all of the other candidates, and I think that's right on. When we say we were running against the system, it was clear. That's what we were about. When we say the system, we're not just talking about this woman who weaponized the murder of her son against the African community. We're talking about the overall system, which is the overall electoral process itself. We were hamstrung from the very beginning. Here's what we tried to do. In the absence of having built a social movement where masses of people see a stake in changing this and they demonstrate wanting to change this, in the absence of doing that, what occurs is we find ourselves being best at the mechanics of running a campaign. We were damn good. Nobody could get a better campaign than we did. There's no doubt about that. We did all of the stuff we were supposed to do in terms of identifying potential voters and tracking them down and working that in the most serious way possible. So that was really powerful. We did great stuff in terms of putting out our propaganda because we had to go around the propaganda of the ruling class. Oh.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm bringing up our video so I can see any comments you guys are making.
We used the instruments we had at our command. But when you play this thing on their terms, which is what we found ourselves having to do in the absence of having built a social movement, or in the absence of a certain kind of awareness or consciousness in this city where we're located among the African population. This was a contradiction that we were up against, but we did something that has never been done before. First of all, we perfected the apparatus. We know how to run an election. We can run an election. We know how to do that. If other things are working for us, there's no one that can beat us. Secondly, I think we've unveiled the most potent weapon that we have in the form of Comrade Akile Anai. I really mean that. Akile is a genuine leader. I'm not talking about someone who just runs for office. You can see idiots run for office. We've just seen idiots run for office who got 80-some-odd% of the vote. Idiots can do that. But we have a genuine leader in Akile. She's not just a leader in some abstract way. She's a leader that has put herself before the masses of the people, and they will recognize her and they will respect that leadership whether they voted for her or not. They know who Akile is. That's on all sectors. Even people who hate the Uhuru movement, even people who hated our slogan, "Make the South Side Black Again," they know she is a leader of a movement and it represents a sentiment in the African community. Another thing that's really important is that there's so many of our people that have been really disenfranchised in so many ways. One aspect, of course, is the right to vote. I'm not even sure that's the biggest thing. The other war that's constantly being made against the brains and consciousness of our people, the fact that there's so much corruption and cynicism that's in the community as a consequence of them voting, and it's never turned into anything but shit. It hasn't produced anything for the people ever. There's not a single candidate that was on that ballot that's run that's produced anything for the African community. So you can see how people would be cynical as hell about what difference does it make to vote anyway. I believe that's a deep and profound thing that we were up against all the time. But we had an extraordinary campaign, an extraordinary candidate, an extraordinary campaign organization. We know how to do this better than anybody. There's no doubt about that. So I wanted to say that. I think that we've provided the world with this extraordinary leader that everybody recognizes, not just in this city, but in other places. Akile Anai, just a remarkable force, and we're going to build off of that. We're going to build here, but we're going to build every place else. We're going to build among the thousands of people that sent in $13,000 in 7 days to our campaign. We're going to build among them out there as well. It's been an extraordinary campaign. It's like we said, our struggle is to affect public policy. On the election, if you win it, because for me, I'm sitting here thinking, we win this election, now we've got to organize the march that's going to happen when we have to be inaugurated. So we want to get all the people to march with us because an election is not going to do it. The people are going to have to still be involved. That's the fundamental thing. I really feel like this was an extraordinary campaign, and we've got thousands of people that had to come out and vote against reparations. Think about that. They didn't even have reparations on the agenda before. They had to come out and vote against reparations. They had to consider the issue of reparations. They had to consider the issue of gentrification. They never had to do that before. None of the other candidates raised the question of reparations, gentrification, and never would have done it if we had not run in this election. And that's going to pay off as well. I think that's extremely important. I also think it's important what we've done in terms of encouraging young women through this candidate, and also young African women in particular. It's potent, and it's not something that's over with this election. I just wanted to express appreciation to this incredible campaign team. I've never seen this kind of organization before. It's an extraordinary organization where we didn't have any money, no connections to the system, no people we can call up on at the Tampa Bay Times and say, do this favor for us, no consultants who know all the tricks of the game. We had none of that. But we had this magnificent campaign team, people who volunteered their time, their energy, their genius to participate in this. And we had to solve real problems. They didn't have to solve real problems. How do we finesse this message so that it can be understood and grasped by ordinary people who've never had to deal with a question like reparations? How do we do this? This is what we're doing all the time. And we had the best messenger in the whole world in the form of Akile, who can do it in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or however long we had. That's real. I don't believe in pandering because I want to know objectively what the situation is. We have to say objectively what the situation is, not what we want it to be. Akile was an extraordinary candidate. Chimaranga, the campaign manager, said some time ago, "This is the best candidate I have ever seen." She is the best candidate I have ever seen. I told Akile some years ago when I heard this woman, Ocasio, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I said, she doesn't hold a candle to you. That's when she first ran, when Ocasio first won that election. We've got an extraordinary candidate here. We're going to build an entire election machine that will stretch from St. Petersburg to various other places throughout this country so that we can begin to do what none of them has done before. Some of you attended the Black is Back mobilization that we did in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. I feel in many ways what we did here was similar to what we did in Washington, D.C., what we've been doing for a while. We're completing a revolution, and we make no bones about that. Our revolution was crushed. Turn the page here.
Page 6 at the bottom, continued from page 4.
Defeated, people killed, jailed, imprisoned, and what have you. A lot of people have just come onto the scene right now. They're just doing whatever is being called for, like participating in a march or participating in an election. But we are completing a revolutionary process. That's what we're doing here. We're building an incredible movement. Chimaranga is just an extraordinary soldier. Applause. And there was quite a bit. I really don't know how to measure the value that you bring to this, and I mean that. I don't know how to measure the value that you bring to this process. You've just been this stalwart person that's been there to do everything, but not just been there, you've been there collecting and developing experience and skills in the process of doing that. Jesse, that's me, the work that you've done for this campaign. That was a little bit of applause. Amanda, our human computer.
Amanda.
That was a lot of applause. And Kyle, the work you do. There's a lot of applause. All of you other soldiers, I mean it, you soldiers who have been in the trenches with us, we're just penetrating into so many different areas. I appreciate you, comrades. I really do. I appreciate how you force the Democratic Party to ask questions. Everybody has just been doing the same old thing. It doesn't matter what the issue is, you just do the same, you just do the thing to get a win from their perspective, but the people don't win. That's the contradiction. The people do not win. The people do not win with this woman, Bowman. In fact, the victory of the people was Akile's presence in this process. That was the victory that we made happen. I just wanted to salute everybody. Really, this is a movement. I've been involved in revolutionary movement for most of my life. And when I've seen and heard Akile and seen the responses of the people to Akile, it brought tears to my eyes of joy. And I mean that. I don't know how you're feeling right now in terms of all the work you did for this, but it brings tears of joy. We've got a damn revolutionary here. Mm-hmm. So this was Chairman Amalia Chatela's speech at the gathering that we had in the election office right after we found out the results of the election.
Yes, and then this next section is from Akile Anai herself. This is the poster from the primary election. So just wanted to show that, salute Akile, and I will read the transcript of her speech. So Akileana'i, over 6,000 people throughout the city made a conscious decision to vote for the reparations candidate, to vote for a platform that spoke explicitly to the interests of the Black working class community. For whatever reason or another, but I am optimistic and believe that most of that came from people who want to see something different, who are sick and tired of the same stuff they see every single day, having to deal with the same politicians making empty promises that they know they will not keep. In fact, this woman I ran against just spoke about how much she loved her job, how much she wants to keep it. As chairman said, without our intervention in this election, no one would have had to come out against or say, I am for reparations to the Black community. That discussion would never have happened in this city if we didn't run. The fact of the matter is, we forced them to deal with that. We forced these people to talk about the future of the Dome. They had to talk about the Reparations Land Trust and Development Authority, a clear and concise plan that we put forward. These candidates that represent the system had to latch themselves onto us and cherry pick our platform throughout this whole process, because that's the direction the people are headed. And of course, if the electoral process actually worked to advance the interests of the people, then we would have seen a much different outcome. We knew this from the beginning. We said this whole process is rigged. It's an anti-Black rigged election system, that it doesn't actually want the people to participate. When you talk about democracy, quote unquote, and a democratic process, and today the voter turnout was a little higher than we anticipated, but when you look at a 20% voter turnout, which I just want to make a side note, the average in St. Pete is 12% of all voters vote, and this election 20% voted. You're looking at a select group of people that determine the outcome for everybody in the city. That's not apathy. That's not people who don't care. That's a rigged system that's set up for only a few people to participate in determining our future. Of course, we mobilized even more people to come out to the polls today to say this is the future we want to see. That's what they embraced on today. I know for a fact this city is forever changed, but not just this city. We had $13,000 come in a week from people all around the world. I'm getting messages from people all over, from Canada, on the continent of Africa, and Europe saying, I'm wishing you luck, we're watching what's happening there. This is how important this was to the whole movement, the worldwide movement to fight for the freedom and liberation of African people. That's what we accomplished here in the city of St. Petersburg. And we got thousands of people to unite with this platform, with this mission. What this tells us, what the chairman has been saying to us about a social movement, it's ripe and ready for us to take. We just have to want it. We have to be hungry for it. This has to drive us to go out there and take up every single thing that we can. This is what this has to mean for us, because we are right here. We've just made history. We just have to go out and take it. I can't tell you how many Africans I've talked to throughout this election and even today who wanted this more than anything, who said, we need you, this has to happen, we know what the future is without it. We can't let up. We have to become fiercer in our determination to change this thing, to turn the system on its head. I think that we have the perfect opportunity to make that happen, because now the message is out there. It's been made citywide. Now we build upon that. We build on this platform and locate those 6,000 people. We figure out where we need to be to fight for every single person to jump on board with us. What I'm looking at in 4 years is that seat is going to be up for the taking, so we're going to take it. And the audience repeated that. We're going to take it. That means for the next 4 years, we have to be relentless. The campaign to make the South Side Black again started in April and continues now. Thank you all so much. The victories of this campaign exceeded any bourgeois election. It was the hardest working, most visible campaign in the streets and inspired thousands of people in the city and the world. And then the article ends, make the South Side Black again, unity through reparations, the time is now.
Uhuru.
So you may have heard a few dings from my phone, and that is because it is on so that you can call in and make your comments. I first want to open it up to Chair Jesse, but I do want to invite people to call in. And the number to call is 727-537-9171. That's 727-537-9171. Our moderator is posting that as well. And I would just like to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the people tuning in. Paula Lipsy from Fort Lauderdale just got off the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise.
Yes, it was great to see Paula and Jeffrey and Lex, who were all there as a contingent on the cruise. It was awesome.
Mads Ambrose says Uhuru from Portland, Oregon. Penny Hess says Uhuru. Uhuru Chairwoman Penny. Uhuru. Polipsy says Uhuru swag. Penny Hess, Coupe Ted Boule Kai, Uhuru.
Yeah.
John Hill Jr. is watching, says teach the youth the truth. Tama Goldberg-Adini and Diane Tournay and other people are watching. Tama says Uhuru from St. Pete. Miss y'all, comrades. Akile for mayor, Uhuru, also from Tama.
There you go.
And Casey Mackey is tuning in. We also have people on YouTube who have not commented, so I don't know who they are, but salute. All right. So
cool.
Chair Jesse, I want to pass over to you your thoughts on this article. And you were there in the room, obviously, and also from your perspective of someone who had run alongside Akile and the first time she ran for office, and the first time you ran for office in 2017, where she ran for District 6 City Council, you ran for mayor on a platform of unity through reparations and radical times, radical solutions. And I know that that campaign won 1,000 votes, and now this campaign 2 years later won over 6,000 votes.
That's correct.
That says a lot, and you were the field director for the last part of this campaign as well. So I would like to get your perspective and also to sum up this article.
Totally. Well, thank you, Jackson, and Uhuru to everybody who's watching, including other people who got off the Marcus Garvey Legacy Cruise earlier today. Shout out to Chairwoman Penny, Paula, KC, and sounds like they might be tuning in from the airport. So that's good. Glad you were able to do so. I just want to say what an amazing honor it was to be a part of this campaign, both campaigns actually. And I really want to salute Chairman Amalia Shatela's brilliant strategy of basically using the electoral process against itself. Because Chairman Amalia Shatela has explained and has shown through his writings and through the political theory of African internationalism that the electoral process, the bourgeois electoral process as he calls it,